Yo, we was talking about AI. I need to come up with AI so I can come up with a better picture. I need to put it in Chat GPT so I can
Yeah.
come up with a better picture, man. Better picture, man. What's up, man? What's going on, family? How y'all doing out there, man? It's been a minute since we've been on YouTube, man. I think we're like most people, just trying to when it comes to what's going on with this administration, with the politics and the policies, just kind of see, we were just trying to, see what the next steps were. You know what I'm saying? And instead of reacting to everything this crazy orange man says and does, you know, and so yeah, man, we back on the on YouTube, and we'll be back being vocal a little bit more, paying attention to the to the policies of what's going out, you know what I'm saying? But today, we're gonna talk about tariffs. That seemed to be the hot topic. That is what, you know, what's on everybody's mind, what is on because tariffs is economics, you know what I'm saying? And it's something that we said before, politics, when it comes to politics, man, politics is life or death. And so you're seeing tariffs, affecting people in different ways, whether it's their 401k, people on fixed incomes, the higher price of goods, gas prices going up, it's just unnecessary trade war, and what looks to be, you know, uh, uh, insider trading in order to help some millionaires and billionaires get wealthy. So we're gonna talk about that. You know what I'm saying, and we're gonna start with you know uh, uh, something that we talk about when it comes to zero sum politics, and how the zero sum politics that got played out during uh, the 1960s or so, and how it's affecting us today. But what's up? What's going on, bro?
Man, nothing much, man. Just out here, just living life and trying to figure out how to maneuver and plan for the next at least 2 years.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah.
how to strategize and so forth because the business and then you know trying to see what's going on with the 9 to 5, like you know,
Hmm.
just trying to figure it all out.
Yeah, 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 man. And we're talking about, we're getting to zero sum real quick, but one of the things, especially talking about tariffs, is that I hope those people that say, oh, I don't tune in the government. Government ain't got nothing to do with me. You know what I'm saying? I hope them folks are paying attention. You know what I'm saying? Because the government has everything. It's something that we again we talk about, right? The government has something to do with you, right? Because of the Smoot-Hawley Act. I'm sorry, the act after Smoot-Hawley. Sorry, it pretty much gave the president unilateral, powers in order to negotiate tariffs without Congress approval or any, what I mean.
Mhm.
So the president can go negotiate with other countries, and we're seeing the ramifications. We're seeing the effects of when you put somebody who doesn't understand economics, um, and only understand economics through the lens of um, what they gain and not what other people lose. It hurts folks, man. It hurts folks.
Yeah, so there was a bill that Ram Paul, son of Ron Paul, introduced um to remove the legislative power from the president.
Hmm.
Um Him and another Republican member, I can't remember her name, but
Hmm.
it is a she. Um and we're gonna see what Mike Johnson do
Hmm. Hmm.
because at this point, it's looking like he may go into the midterm with a fractured party.
Hmm.
That is the pathway because the Republicans, when they go back home, are are getting yelled at by their constituents, and again, because they're lining their pockets, their constituents starting to see
Hmm.
that they are not benefiting at
Hmm.
all because they only thought it was going to help hurt them over there.
Right, right. They thought it was going to hurt the other people. You weren't supposed to come after us, you
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and that leads into something we said we're going to talk about, like the zero sum, right?
Mhm.
Um, zero sum is a concept from game theory and economics. It describes like a situation where one person's gain is balanced by another person's loss. So there's this idea that if somebody else gain something, then then I'm losing. I'm losing. You know what I mean? I generally, talk about the pie theory. I'll say pie. There's people who think that because other people getting a bigger slice of the American pie, that the pie shrinks and it
Mhm.
doesn't actually shrink. You know what I'm saying? And this zero sum theory was prevalent in the 1950s and 1960s, right? So when the civil rights movement came out, or I'm sorry, Brown v. Board of Education, when Brown v. Board of Education, four cases that made up Brown v. Board of Education, and those judges said, hey, black kids do better under white kids, so we're going to end, segregation in schools. So now all the black kids got to go to the white schools. Well, there were some people who were like, "Hey, all these black kids are gaining the right to go to my kids' school, so now I'm going to start charter schools. I'm going to start, private schools," and even showed up in neighborhoods, where the pool drain the pool politics. There's this word drain the pool politics. Basically, when black people didn't have access to community pools, the white folks were okay with paying for pools. They were okay with paying the taxes or paying whatever it cost to have the public pools. And even they used to have like contests back in the day to see which city can have the best pool, right? The best pool, come to the zoo, park, and. But once black people started getting access to it, or started going into the pools, where they were like, "Hey, we don't need this no more," you know,
Mhm.
and so they would just fill up the pool and fill it up with concrete. You know what I'm saying? And not pay for it. And of course, in their mind, they're like, "Hey, I'll pay the tens of thousands of dollars for a pool in my backyard
Yeah.
versus just paying a few dollars so that everybody can have access to this pool." You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Yeah, yeah. And today, you know, because of people, a lot of these Republicans are facing people who 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 didn't think the lepers were going to eat their face, right? They didn't think so. They thought that, hey, I thought I was just voting to get rid of these illegals, and so I
Hmm.
won't see gay people on TV. I didn't know y'all was going to take money from my 401k. Y'all didn't tell me y'all going to cut my friends or my sons or my daughters, government jobs. Y'all didn't say y'all were going to
Mhm.
do all this stuff. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And so, but these are the effects of it, right? These are effects of having this mentality about zero sum. You know what I mean? Like somebody's gain is another person's loss. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. It's just like throwing meat in the cage, right?
Hmm.
If you want to catch an animal, you throw the meat in the cage, and if he is in a pack, you at least want to attract as many as you can inside of the cage.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And like this is how Republican voters are treated, and they don't understand that they're always being thrown some kind of meat that they all jump on and attack, but not realizing that the hunter is focusing on just only catching one.
Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? But when I say one, I mean the group, and that's all he needs. And
Hmm.
so, like, they are willing to sacrifice their grandkids, their um their children, all of this stuff just for the moment,
Hmm. Hmm.
just for the moment.
Hmm.
They didn't care that, what I'm saying, Ronald Reagan was suing the Department of Education, and it literally caused college to sit back in balloon and calls. They didn't
Yeah.
care.
I didn't care.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like,
Yeah.
they didn't care that the Republican Party spent 12 years or 16 years attacking the ACA
Hmm.
and calling it Obamacare,
I don't care.
and not realizing that they were literally cutting at programs inside of the ACA
Yeah,
that
cutting the
led
money.
to yeah, that led to today, that now they're trying to sell you private insurance in the ACA.
Yeah.
You know what
Mm,
I'm saying? Like they didn't care that all of the stuff that they voted for all of these years,
right.
that when they sit back and make a statement that America is falling apart,
Mhm, mhm.
that they are the reason why it literally is falling apart and has fell apart.
Yeah.
Because as long as no, uh, right there, I don't know if you see, like
Mm. Talking Fannie Lou Hamer.
Benny Lou Hamer,
Mhm,
she tried to tell him, she
mhm,
tried to tell him
mhm.
that you're paying a shackle to mine.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? Like
it
until
is.
I'm free, you'll be you won't be free neither.
Yeah.
Because again, how's healthcare going to get better? How?
Mm,
If they're allowed to legally treat one group without discernment, that means you're only going to get just a little bit better service.
mhm, mhm.
You're not going to get the best service, you're just going to get better service.
Yeah.
And you wonder why you know what I'm saying, women have a high mortality rate. You know what I'm saying? Black women are even higher, but
Mhm,
even white women have a higher mortality rate than any other country in the
mhm,
United States.
mhm. Yeah, it is a, yeah, man, like you saying, they they chose, again, somebody else's gain mean I lose, right? Like, yes, you are losing. You are losing, right? Like just because black people gain rights, or gay or the LGBTQ community gain the right to marry, you know what I mean? You have chosen, you have chosen to be sick, poor, and dumb,
Yes.
right? You're getting your kids are getting their schools defunded, and but not only that, like you said, they are passing on the cost to their grandkids, right?
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's one thing I say about Jim Crow, and how we teach Jim Crow in the wrong way, right? We
Mhm.
teach it that there were black and white water fountains, instead of teaching it as white people were willing to pay more for two separate water fountains.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? They
Yeah.
were willing to pay. They pay more in taxes. You know what I'm saying? They paid more, you know what I mean, to have separate facilities. They were willing to pay it's like today, right? Like, the talk about the price of eggs. That went
Mhm.
away.
Yeah.
The eggs are still high.
Yeah.
Right, eggs are still high, you know what I mean? Gas is going up right now, you know what I'm saying? But all that talk about, the price of things went down, you know what I'm saying? Once, and a lot of that is the media fault, you know what I mean? The media, put a lot of those narratives out there, that just, without, context.
Mhm.
But, of course, we see it on our, on social media. We're connected to people, friends and family who were screaming about the price of eggs, price of eggs, price of eggs. Now you don't hear it anymore. You know what I mean? But they're willing to, and they're still paying high egg prices. You
Mhm.
know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
they're willing to pay those high egg prices, even to the point to where, of course, they have protests, a few weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? But I'd imagine that a good number of those crowd of folks, you know what I mean, who was out there like, oh, I regret my vote. Well, it's too late to regret. You were supposed to pay attention. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? It's too late to have regret. You know what I'm saying? When, you know, and that's one thing I'll say about Trump, man. Trump is a liar. He's a habitual liar, but he did not lie during this presidential campaign with what he's doing. Everything he said he was going to do, he's doing. You know what I'm saying? And yeah.
Well, I will I will agree to a point.
Mm,
He told the truth until he was called out on the truth and then lied about the truth.
yeah,
When
yeah,
when he said, "I don't have anything to do with Project 2025,"
yeah, yeah,
even though everything that he was already saying was already in Project 2025.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he distanced himself from the idea, but he was already still saying the same stuff anyway.
Yeah, he was talking about high tariffs. He was talking about the tariffs. He was talking about the Department of Education. He was talking about the immigration. He was talking about all of these things. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Like, like he didn't, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, of course with Project 25, anybody with a brain knew that he knew about Project 2025. You know what I mean? Obviously the people that, who didn't, who voted for him try to play dumb, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like you know eh, the but these folks, this is what they chose. They chose because they're upset with the LGBTQ community, or black people, or black women, or you know what I mean, or women in general, you know what I'm saying? Like this is what you voted for. But you're willing for your children and your grandchildren. Because I was telling somebody this. I said, hey man, the next domino is to fall. I was like, y'all didn't pay attention during the Great Recession. I was like, there were people, if they were late 40s, 50s, 60s, they never recovered, or they recovered. Like they're just now recovering, like in 2020. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? And some of them never recovered. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? I was like, but now with what's going on, this is going to affect your children, to where your children are going to have to live home. They're going to have to live
Yeah.
with you for a while. You know, because again, you know, and people who believe this tariff, they were, with the tariffs, you know what I'm saying? There are people who actually believe that you as a regular citizen don't pay the cost of tariffs.
Yeah. Yeah.
You pay the cost. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, and I'll give this example and I'll land my plane. So went to this place in Colombia that create candle, went and created my own candle, right?
Mm.
The dude, the candle owner, didn't have certain scents in there. And he's like, I gotta go down, I gotta go to Georgia, and I gotta go get the scents. But I can't get the scents because the person that makes the scents, they get their bottles from China.
Mm. Mm.
So the person that get their bottles from China is paying a higher cost
Mhm.
for the bottles, to get the bottles. Well, the dude then has to pay for the scent that's now at a higher cost.
Mm.
So guess who pays a higher cost when they go make candles? I do.
Yeah.
I paid a higher cost. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? I pay $10 extra when it cost me just $36 last week. Now it's 46, almost $50. You know what I'm
But
saying?
a Trump supporter will respond with this, but it's creating jobs.
But it's crazy. They're idiots.
Who the hell want to sit here and have a job pouring uh scent, smell goods in a bottle
Mhm, mhm,
or
mhm.
$7 an hour?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we as a country are way past the manufacturing that they are talking about bringing back.
Right,
We're
right,
past
right.
that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like I just don't understand why put us back in those factories where all right, you want cheaper jeans. You gonna work in a jean factory?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, come on, bro. Like,
Yeah. I
what?
see that.
And
Yeah.
nah, I was just gonna say, man, and land this with like, man, people got to get better at understanding economics, man. They
Yeah.
they really, really do.
Just on a basic level. You don't need to have a Keynesian economic degree to just understand how tariffs work, how 1 plus 1 is 2, man. Just how, you know what I mean? How, who pays what? Like we're in a global economy. Like you're saying, we are in a global economy. You know what I'm
Mhm,
saying? China, there are people who think that, again, in a zero sum mindset, they'll think that because China is doing good economically, you know what I'm saying? Like we gotta go take from China. We gotta cause China, you know, uh, you know what I'm saying?
economic harm or
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. That's bad for us. If China's economy is growing, it's bad for us. You know what I mean?
Mhm. Mhm.
Rather than just saying, "Hey, how can we tap into that?" Right?
Yep.
China, ma- China is is the global seller for EVs. They make an $11,000 luxury EV that would benefit. You know what I'm saying? That would benefit. You know, any young adult or any family. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? They make affordable cars. You know what I mean? But we just have this mindset, you know, China's economy is bad for us. You know what I'm saying?
Because it and I man, I totally agree because I've been in this real deep thought, right?
Mhm.
Or at least I think it's a deep thought about like the perception of capitalism in today's time where we're arguing about tariffs when and like where I derived that was like, holy shit, our government has literally played a part in maintaining poverty.
Yeah, right. Right,
You,
right,
you know
right,
what I'm
right.
saying? Like has a role in maintaining poverty to
Mhm.
a to an extent that they rather for a corporation shake us for every single penny, like Ford and like all the car manufacturers, instead of saying, hey, if you don't want to bring down the cost and not pay your CEO a global amount of money, then we'll go ahead and allow the Chinese company to come in and compete with you.
Mhm. Mhm.
Instead of doing it that way, which would be a real free market,
Mhm.
like instead of doing it that way to be able to bring down costs,
Mhm. Mhm.
they sat back and say, well, we're just going to tariff the Chinese company to a point that they can't even bring it in the country or it won't be worth it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that is so ridiculous
Yeah, yeah,
because
yeah.
we know for a fact that a lot of the American products, the CEO is one of the highest costs in the board members
Mhm.
are some of the highest costs of a
Mhm.
corporation.
Right, right, right. Their salaries.
Yeah,
Mhm.
because they don't add any actual value to the product.
Mhm. Right.
Like we know that.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like, but for some reason, its CEOs is walking around getting paid $60 million
Mhm.
and their company is failing.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like at some point of time, people gotta realize that we have to we have to do away with that
Yeah.
because we need the middle class to thrive in this country if we want peace and harmony. It doesn't matter on what the race is, it don't matter on we need a middle class.
Mhm.
And we need the poor class to come be able to come into the
To
middle
come
class.
into the middle class. Yeah. Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, you're right, man. Our government does participate in, when they create NAFTA. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
With ship jobs overseas, or even within the borders of our country, right? When they took a lot of the jobs out of the urban areas or urban settings and move them into the suburbs. You know what
Mhm.
I mean? That caused the economic areas of black neighborhoods to go down. It caused the homes to, redlining comes in and everything like
Mhm.
that. And here's the dumb thing about the tariffs, right? And why they're dumb and they want to bring back manufacturing. It's like the dumb thing that they make with coal, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, we need to bring back coal. Like, yeah, okay, we need to bring back black lung and all this other stuff.
Yeah.
Right? Like they'll tell you that it's the government policies on regulations is what lost coal miner jobs, and it's not.
Mm,
It's automation. They'll just find a robot that can do what a human can do if it's something repetitive, and you know what I mean.
and
Um,
safer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, yeah, it's safer, but they just look at it as, look, if I can get a robot to do it, that robot ain't gonna take no sick leave. That robot ain't gotta pay
Yeah,
that
yeah.
robot health care, anything like that. And and it is and here's the other dumb thing about this the tariffs, right? Because the Biden administration set America up to create um, a new industry, right?
Mhm.
That new industry was supposed to be EVs, create American EVs, create American infrastructure with EVs, and then you create other infrastructures off of that, right? You create transportation, public transportation off of it. Yeah.
And I'll just add this, and I'm going to let you continue. And chips and microchips.
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah, the chips industry and things of that nature, right? Like creating a different industry, right? Instead, and again, this is why I think they just use the wealthy in this country use tariffs as a way for them to make more or bring back manufacturing as a way for them to get more wealth, right? For them to crash the economy, to go buy up stock. It's only like I think 10% people 10% of Americans that actually own the majority of wealth in stocks. You know what I'm saying? Even though people try to tell you, oh man, go buy stocks as a come up. Nah, come on, dog.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Unless you have hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars, you know what I'm saying? Now it is, I'm not poo-pooing it. It is a way to come up, you know what I'm saying, to gain money. But anyway, it's not as easy. But anyway, the you already had it handed to you. You already had the CHIPS Act. You already had stuff in the American Rescue Plan that's already in there to create new industry.
Mhm.
All you had to do was just go in there and negotiate other, deals, you know what I'm saying? Or
Mhm.
find or all you had to do was come up with a better way. Say, hey, from now on, instead of getting rid of the Department of Education, put in there, hey, we're going to open we're going to give states funding so that they can open up technical schools and technical training so people these when people graduate at 18, they know how to work on chips and create
Mhm.
chips. They know how
Mhm.
to work on EVs. They know how to do these other and things to create a whole new industry. You're not creating a whole new industry. And even number one, in order to bring a lot of those manufacturing jobs back, you got to build the infrastructure for it. And we don't have the infrastructure. Number two, if they do come back, it's going to be robots. It's going to be robots and AI. Which and guess who's buying all the government and military contracts or getting his hands in the government military contracts to do all that. What I mean? Elon Musk, you know what I'm saying? But they dupe the regular American buy because the regular American votes or you have mainly Republicans, people who vote Republican. Whether they vote for the first time Republican or not, you know what I'm saying? They think in zero sum. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody's gain is my loss, you
Yeah.
know? So I'm
And
slow down progress. Go.
no, it's just like the plant in Spartanburg, the BMW plant, right?
Oh,
Man, they
yes.
already got robots on the line. And nobody's sitting back talking about like how many people that's in this particular area that lost their job because of that robot.
Look,
You know what I'm saying? And like this this is the key problem that they have in a lot of suburban areas.
oh, I think I lost you, John.
Okay, host has muted my mic. All right. Can you hear me?
No. Yeah. Yeah, we get them squared away. But like, it is yeah, it is when it comes to like the zero sum politics, people are out here really choosing to they're really out here choosing to really disenfranchise people. That's how they're thinking. That's how a lot of their politics is driven. Their politics is driven by, or as recently. I mean, we even got people who, we got ICE, rounding people up in their schools and things of that and things of that nature. Um and things of that nature. But
Can you hear me?
yeah, no.
Oh man. All right, hold on.
Hold on for a second. Give us a sec right here while we figure this out. Let me see here. Technical difficulties. All right, man.
Can you hear me? Can
Yep.
you hear me?
You know. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
All right. All right. I'm back on. Dang.
All right, hold on for a second. What happened here? Hold on, it might be. Let me see here. Audio. All right, hold on for a second. Might have been me. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right. All right. Yeah, little pause there. All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
No, like I was I can't remember where I was left off at. But it's just like the robots being replacing people and so
Mhm.
forth. Elon Musk has also expressed automation replacing people and so forth. Like people just don't understand what it's mainly happening on the Republican side.
Right.
What they're trying to get you to do, since they can't just go in and just like um just tear everything down. What they have to do is get you as the voter to accept
To
what
agree
is
to it.
happening and go vote for it so they can go do it.
Yep.
That's why you hear them in this administration as they are tearing down things and allowing someone who's unelected to tear down things, to sit back and use the narrative of they elected our administration to do this.
Mhm. Mhm. Right.
And
Exactly.
then the voters are saying, "Well, we did not elect them to do that."
Mhm.
Well, again, that's a conflict
Mhm.
because the administration is assuming that you did
Right.
because they told you
Mhm.
and you ignored it. And so here we are with a conundrum.
Mhm.
But it's going to be the same way when jobs start going out, right?
Yep.
Um, it's going to be primarily, I'm going to say it's either going to be Republican voters and also like, and I'll say independent voters because they're the problematic voters in
Yeah.
this country.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
where Republican independent voters want to pretend that they are somewhat Democratic
Yeah.
and also Republican at the same time, but really they only vote for Republican policies most of the time. Like since they want to play that game, you got to understand most people are just problematic, right?
Mhm.
And they will always not want people to succeed further than they have succeeded
Mhm.
or not
Mhm.
succeed.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And that's why you break when you start breaking down the demographics of like a high percentage of non-college, you know what I'm saying, high school graduates voting, and then primarily the elderly. Like
Mhm.
the elderly got a stake because they got the social security. The primary uneducated person who didn't go to college and so forth, like, and I'm a part of that group, right?
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, most of them fall on the Republican side of the coin.
Right.
The reason why that they vote is because they need to stop the progress.
Yeah. Mhm.
Because that way that like they could be, you know what I'm saying, they could be just regular old Joe.
Mhm. They could be mediocre.
They could be mediocre.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Mhm.
everybody, the smaller group is stuck in the middle trying to battle between these two behemoths.
And they elect politicians that's gonna do that, right? They'll elect a Joe Manchin, a
Yep.
Kyrsten Sinema.
Yep.
Name your Republican from the middle of the country. They'll elect these people who go there, Marjorie Taylor Greene. They'll elect these people to go into, shoot, even here in South Carolina, right?
Yeah.
We see it here with the Republican Party in South Carolina here.
Yeah.
They will elect these people on local, state, and a federal level, to say, hey, again, zero sum. Hey, these people are gaining over there. If they gain, I lose. I'm not trying to better my life in no way, shape, or form. I'm not trying to be economically better. I'm not trying to do nothing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I most definitely don't want them having anything. And like
Yes.
you said, I remember watching a video, and there was this one couple. They were complaining about this immigrant family that moved into their neighborhood, and the immigrant family had a nice car. You know what I mean? I don't have a
And
car like that. I
mhm,
struggle to make end meet.
yeah.
They need to get out of this country.
How's
Like,
he riding around in that expensive car?
yeah, how's he riding around that expensive car? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Why is this person, you know what I mean? Why is this person who look a certain way, who don't look like me, you know what I mean? Why are they sitting in this high up position? You know
Mm-hmm.
what I'm saying? And that's how they start to think. And then and that's just this is how they have, we get bigoted racial animus, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And they can hide behind their racism and their bigotry because they could be just like, "Oh, nah, I just don't want,
Yeah,
DEI."
yeah.
You know what I mean? I saw somebody do something that's pretty Imma start doing when somebody say they don't want DEI. I ask them to explain what's the opposite of being diverse, equitable, and inclusive.
Yeah.
What's the opposite of that?
Yeah.
Because that's what you want,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I actually use that trick. I wouldn't call it a trick. I use that against a guy, he's a staunch Trump supporter.
Mhm,
And he mentioned in a conversation, like, keep in mind, we wasn't even talking about politics, and he kind of just jumped
mhm.
in, and he was
Just
just
bringing it
like, he just brung it up, and he was just like, yeah, I just couldn't, the DEI just had to stop. Keep in mind, like, he was like a 66-year-old man, and like, um,
yeah, I gotta stop.
yeah, he sat back and said that, and I was just like, well, you know, tell me, well, what's the opposite of it?
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And he was just like, oh, I'm not even gonna have this conversation with you. Like, yeah, like, because you guys say something crazy.
Because he automatically quickly realized, "Oh, dang, Imma say something crazy, it's gonna be racist,
Yeah.
it's gonna be bigoted."
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
because that's the opposite of it. Like,
Yes.
that is the
Yes.
opposite of it. And
Yeah.
they recognize it. They recognize it pretty quick. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's crazy that we're in this moment of real, I like to say real reckoning. Um,
Mhm,
because this is a moment that Republican people um n- can really reflect,
mhm, mhm.
and you got to sit back and say, are they going to,
Yeah,
or are
yeah,
they just going to show up again another administration? You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? Because we don't had like 6, 7, 8 versions of these people throughout history,
Yeah.
and nothing has stuck to them to say like, man, I sound like X person in 1872.
Mhm.
You
Shoot,
know what
they
I'm
ain't
saying?
got that far back. It sounds
No,
like
no,
crazy.
you don't.
To the '80s. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but nothing has like really got to them.
Mm-mm.
That the language that they are saying, how they talk, how they perceive, sounds like a period of time,
Mhm.
and that right there is the reason why, what I'm saying, that they're rolling things back, because, hey, hell, we got the Mexicans out.
Mhm. Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, yeah, like, that's not helping you pay these bills, as
Right.
BlackRock is trying to literally build houses that you can only rent.
Mhm. Right.
Like, that's not going to help you.
Right.
BlackRock literally owns 30, I think it's like 32 point something percent of almost every major corporation in the freaking country,
Mm.
when you calculate their percentage of how much they owe.
Yeah.
So they essentially have a monopoly, but they went around the law and figured out how to technically not have a monopoly.
Mm.
They just buy up little shares of every company.
Mhm.
You know what I'm
Shares
saying?
shares that are big enough.
Yeah, shares that are big enough, and then you turn around, just like State Street and other places, like, you just buy shares in the company who own you.
Mhm. Yeah.
But people are so caught up on saying, "Man, LGBTQ playing basketball." Like,
Yeah, they got
are
tunnel
you?
vision. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, they really think that arguing about trans athletes or something, which again is such a small percentage of them,
Yeah.
small number of them, that they really think that like that's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like they really do think like well, I'm gonna go on a crusade about this trans issue because if I go
Mhm.
on a crusade about this trans issue, then I am going to benefit somehow economically. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like this money had trickled down, you know, to me in
Yeah.
some sort of way, and it's just like, no, that's not what's gonna happen, man. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy because, um, I was, like, watching, like, clips of Fox News or something like that. I can't watch Fox News all day, but
Mhm.
I was watching, like, clips of Fox News, and they were, basically, like, preparing their audience, you know what I mean? Like, "Hey,
Mhm. Mhm.
there's gonna be some pain, but it's okay. We
Yeah.
have to take this pain, we have to take this pain, but did you know about the trans athlete in such
Yeah.
name a small place that,
Yeah. Yep.
or did you know about this place that had to men and women go to the bathroom? You know what I'm saying? It's to take them all. It could create tunnel vision, right? It's
Yeah.
to tunnel vision on purpose.
Yeah. If you're smart enough, you can see the play.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
if you're not smart enough, like, you're not gonna catch that they went from one place
Yeah,
to another.
to
And
another.
you know what I'm saying? And
Mhm.
and and like, and trying to gaslight you to just only focus over there.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Like,
yeah.
it's the greatest trick in the world, man. And like, and the crazy thing is, this group of Republicans are not like the Republicans in like the 70s, 80s that are like, they had to be a little more crafty, right?
Mhm,
During that time, because now like America was like trying to be a melting pot a little bit.
mhm,
Um, so they had to be a little more crafty.
mhm, mhm.
Like, what's his name with the famous state quote, Atwater.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Mhm.
yeah, like he was telling them to be crafty, right?
Mhm, mhm.
And,
Which
and like,
that's what they done, like, really,
yes,
you know what I mean? They're not saying the N word, right? You can't say N
yes,
word, N word, N word, but you say DEI. You say,
hmm,
the planes crashed because of DEI. You
yeah,
say, there's crime because of DEI. You say, the immigrants are here because of DEI. You say that the government, the economy is going down because of DEI. You're still saying it. You're still saying N word, N word, N word, like Lee Atwater.
yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Um, Lee Atwater said, you just started replacing it with DEI. You know what I'm saying? And I always tell people, man, like, you know what I mean? Like, DEI is never applied to a straight white man. Like, it's never.
No, no,
And
no.
that should tell you everything about DEI or being anti DEI. You
Yeah,
know what
yeah, yeah.
I mean?
There was a gentleman, and like, he was in a position, and he basically like, he quit in this particular position, and like,
Mm, mhm,
he thought that he should have been more than what he actually is. But like, you had a conversation with him, like he didn't really display like that he was like, man, this guy's real bright, man. Like,
mhm,
he never had one of those moments, right? And
mhm,
like, but he thought that he should have been higher than XYZ, than like,
mhm,
and someone was sitting here telling me, and I'm just like, man, that damn DEI, man, that's been
mhm,
crazy.
mhm,
Because he was an actual DEI hire.
mhm, mhm.
He was white.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
Most
saying?
most white men are DEI
But
high.
he was retired
Mhm,
military.
mhm,
Said that he, had some injuries and so forth. Like, yeah, but like, dude, like, you like going around like calling people DEI, saying DEI, because he did believe that kind of stuff. But like, you were the technical
you
real
right. Any
DEI hire.
right, any veteran is a DEI hire,
Yeah,
especially in a company that promotes they hire veterans.
yeah,
You are DEI.
yeah. The thing about it for me is, I don't look at it as a bad thing.
Right, yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if someone has a disability or so forth, so forth. Look,
Mhm,
man, I worked around a lot of capable, stupid people.
mhm,
You know what I'm saying? Like, and like people have to understand that, like, but when you sit back and then you're demonizing like people that have actual special needs that actually
Mhm,
want to work in the and I'm just like, yeah, but like you don't even have no problems and like and you don't.
mhm,
You know
mhm.
what I'm saying? It's just like so me sitting here arguing like I just I don't get it. And like people nowadays, man, I think they need to take a breather and
Mhm.
like and look really inward on a lot of stuff. But this whole zero sum game that's leading to us having like all of tariff wars, and then we believe in like, well, all these Americans that are losing their job with the federal government can go ahead and work for these manufacturers that's going to come back.
Ain't coming
Like
back.
it's such like man,
It's dumb.
it's so dumb.
And a lot of people who make those comments, you know what I'm saying? And you're right. Like people don't understand. Like DEI was created under Obama. The A is for accessibility, so it means people who have what you call 'em. So it's DEIA.
Yeah,
And people just leave off the what's that?
I thought it was Lyndon Baines Johnson who had the first DEI. Uh,
He did. He had it was Lyndon Baines Johnson, but it was under Obama when Obama had an official like DEI, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. Um, where it was specifically said, I can't remember the policy or whatever, but yes, DEI did start under Lyndon Baines Johnson.
Yeah, because
Um,
he has a recording and actually calling it diversity. So like that's why I was a little like, but
mhm.
it probably wasn't the language that he
The
used on
language.
paper.
Right, right, right. Obama used the language and crafted legislation and created infrastructure and policy behind it, where Lyndon Baines Johnson just used the language. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, 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 yeah. That was the difference. But but the A is DEIA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what Obama created under or created under Obama. Um but yeah, the so yeah, so veterans or people veterans fall under accessibility, particularly if you have a if you are a veteran that's getting disability from the government.
Mm-hmm.
You are prioritized in a lot of jobs and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying? But like when it comes to like all these tariffs and things of that nature, people the one thing that folks need to understand is that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, so like, the Republican Party today, you know what I'm saying? The Republican Party today came from the Tea Party. So they are really far right. A lot of their policies are far right, right? They want to take us back, you know what I mean? They want to stop progress, you know what I mean? And things of that nature. And that was the whole antithesis of the Tea Party, which they didn't like that black man being elected.
Mm-hmm.
They did not like that, you know what I'm saying? And of course, they did not like that that black man was trying to give people free healthcare. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
some members in the Democrat Party didn't like that as well. They paid for it 2 years later because they shouldn't have been cowards like Kirsten Sinema and Joe Manchin. We wouldn't be in some of the positions that we're in today. But like, but yeah, man, like, all of that is to say that since the Tea Party, and I always call Trump a Tea Party president because the Tea Party built their platform on zero sum. They built it off of, black people succeeding, LGBTQ members getting married or being seen. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Shoot, they got upset because Michelle Obama wanted kids to eat healthy. You know what I'm saying? So now the tertiary effect is that now, since they didn't want kids to eat healthy meals in school, you know what I mean? They still wanted them to drink sodas and all this other stuff. Well, now the military has a hard time, or the army has a hard time bringing these same kids in because they're overweight. They can't
Mm-hmm.
pass the PT. because and now they're relooking at the military PT standards because these same groups of kids who Michelle Obama wanted to be healthy and live a healthy lifestyle now, having effects. And also from some of these kids who are a little older, now guess what they're starting to see in 30-year-olds? They're starting to see colon cancer and all this other stuff.
Yeah, heart attacks have increased
Right.
between the age 14 to 30, 36.
Mhm, mhm.
Like, like, yeah, all of this have ramifications, and
Yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah.
but
Second truth, yeah.
people don't think down the road. They just think about like, man, my neighbor scares me because he had, got a jab on. Like, you
Right,
know what I'm
right, right.
saying?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, exactly, because they were up the people are still upset because people got the shot, got the
yeah,
COVID.
yeah, yeah,
Like, huh?
yeah, yeah. And like at the end of the day, those people will always like the concept of death will always be around everything that they think about or say,
Right, 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 right.
simply because they are not thinking bigger than what is happening in the moment.
Yeah.
And man, it is so wild that now like you know um the health administrations are like literally like, no, like RFK has to go, like this guy is dangerous.
Mhm, mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Although when he gets in front of a microphone, the same thing that Michelle Obama was sitting here saying about the kids eating healthy, he is using the same language.
Mhm, 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 mhm.
And
Yeah.
again, same thing I was telling this one guy. I was like, when someone does that, what that is called is a populist.
Mhm,
They're using populist language, the colloquial language that people use
mhm,
it, to talk about this issue. But
mhm,
what happens is they legislate differently,
mhm,
and like, like trying to explain to the young guy, I'm like, yeah, RFK ain't gonna do none of that stuff. What he's
mhm,
gonna do is he's gonna sell you more junk medicine like he has always done, even from his website.
mhm, mhm,
You know what I'm saying? He's a snake oil salesman. That's
mhm.
all he is. That's all he has been.
Yeah.
And like we're getting, and I tell the missus, I was like, yo, does it feel like everybody is selling snake oil now? Like
Mhm.
it literally feels like everybody's selling some miracle
Mhm.
of weight loss, or what I'm saying,
Mhm.
or something. And like you like, have that even been tested?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And
Mm.
most of it ain't been tested. They just throwing it out there because they can.
'Cause they can, and people believe it.
Yeah,
Even the
yeah,
anti-intellectual, era where,
yeah,
people don't read and, you know what I'm saying, they don't trust what they read because they don't know, right? Conspiracy theories are just, things that people don't know. That's
yeah.
really
That is
really
true. That is
yeah,
true.
man.
Don't know and don't understand.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Alright, bro.
Okay.
We're gonna
Yes,
wrap
sir.
this up,
But
man.
we really got to sit back and do better. Although I do like what Bernie and AOC is doing, but oh man, I really wish that they start trying to really like get the party and it to like, hey, you know, come out with me. But I see the play.
Mhm, mhm.
I see the play. They're
Yeah.
they're trying to establish AOC
Mhm.
for 2028. Cool.
Mm. Nah, that ain't gonna work. 'Cause because Bernie, just like Bernie ain't learned his lesson, AOC ain't gonna learn her lesson either. You're gonna sit over here, you're gonna try to talk all these small town folks. They think they're gonna get all these Republicans, these
Uh,
like I used to call them the Obama Republicans. Them
yeah,
Obama Republicans are gone.
yeah,
They're
they're gone. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Oh, you think you're gonna get some of them Biden Republicans? No, you're
yeah,
not.
yeah,
No, you're
yeah.
not. Um, yeah, man, that's what's gonna happen, and it don't ever work, man. Bernie ain't learned. He really hasn't learned. You know what I'm
No,
saying?
no, no, no. He keeps doing the same thing. Because I'm sitting here watching him in Coachella, and I'm
Mhm,
just like, man, Bernie, yeah, that's nice. You know what I mean? Oh, this crowd, yeah, they boo Trump. But at the end of the day, this ain't the same crowd as like being at like a Kid Rock concert or something
Mhm.
crazy like that. Like this crowd is different.
Mhm.
Like it is more likely that they would boo Trump.
Yeah. Right.
And it's just like, Bernie, my God, stop trying to sit back and be a show because you are starting to come across just like Trump
Yeah, I
on
mean,
the left.
Bernie's a populist. He is.
Yes,
Mhm.
yes.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like I have not heard any meaningful legislation from you in years, Bernie. You know what I'm saying? Like Elizabeth Warren, yeah, she got some legislation that's out there that's nice.
Mhm.
But like Bernie, like you keep just like pumping your chest, and like, man, I need to see more. Like, man, yeah, yeah. So I'm having a hard time. That's all.
Yeah, man. So, one of the things I wanna, do is just have folks have a call to action, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, some stuff that people can do, because in these times, people can feel like, "Oh, man, there's nothing I can do," you know what I'm saying? Whatever you can do, where you can do it, you do it, you know what I'm saying? I'll say, don't let people make it seem like what it is that you can do in the capacity that you can do it in is not
Mhm.
enough, because it is something. And, it's like the protest. I don't wanna poo-poo the protest, but,
Yeah.
the people, that's what people chose to do in their capacity. Now we'll see what happens, see where most of them be at, like, 2 years when it's time to, give,
Really put it in action.
right, give the Democrats the majority.
Yeah.
So they can veto a lot of, Trump's legislation.
Yeah.
One of those things that people can do is support their local business. Support their
Mhm.
local business in these times. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, the prices are gonna go up, but support the local business. This is something Martin Luther King talked about in when he was talking about Operation Breadbasket. Like, yeah, it's gonna cost more for you to pay for this product by this black company, but that black company is going to hire black people, and it's
Mhm.
contributes to your community, you know what I'm saying? It's the
Yep.
same it's the same mindset, you know what I'm saying? Fine, if you can buy local, man, because
Mhm.
you don't want the unemployment rate. Most places, your, local unemployment rate will go up before the federal unemployment rate
Yeah.
goes up, or the national unemployment rate goes
Yep.
up. So, pay attention to that, you know what I'm saying? Because, we are getting to recession territory, you know what I'm saying? So, people are gonna start seeing layoffs and things of that nature, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Already happening, man.
Yep.
Already
Yep.
happening.
Yep.
I know somebody that they're in a supervisor position, and they had to let go people that literally just got the job just months ago.
Yeah, those are the
Like,
easiest people to let go.
yeah, a total of six people, seven people,
Yeah,
which which
you
amount for almost half of their team.
man,
And it's like, yeah,
yeah,
man, look, this is what's gonna happen, man.
it's coming, man. It's coming. It's coming.
Yeah.
And again, this is when those same folks that voted for Trump, is when they really gonna be like, "Oh, hold up."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? "Oh, no,
Yeah.
we," like, you know what I mean? It's like, Trump, with some of his tariffs that he pulled back from China, you know what I'm saying?
Mhm. Mhm.
That's a conversation for another day with China.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
but it's, I'll end with this. That's why, in what, 50 years,
Mhm,
the Democrat Party created 57 million jobs,
mhm.
57 million jobs. And the Republican Party, when you look in totality from the top from the jobs that they lost under administrations and so forth, literally only created like 3 million jobs.
Yeah, they only yeah.
Like,
Mhm,
this is why it happens. And
mhm,
and again, you will want American people to learn the lesson and realize the party that you think the Republican Party is no longer, it hasn't been in a long time.
mhm,
They became corporate shields way back in 1940 something.
mhm,
And I would even argue all the way back to late 1800s if you go back and and read some of the transcripts
mhm.
of like the Republican Party and what they were arguing for corporations to do. That, yeah, I would say like they've been corporate shield.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it was a moment where at a point in time. And keep in mind, I'm only talking about a sector of the party at that point in time. But there has been moments where they were more worried about corporations,
Mm.
you know, and people need to sit back and sometimes dig a little deeper. And and again, I could be wrong on some of this information, but at the end of the day, like I am trying to find out what's the real reason why we're in the place that we are in. And they lie in the conversations in the halls of the House and the Senate.
Mm. Yeah. Um, you know, again, the position we're in is because of racism, man. It really is. It
Mhm.
really is. It really is. People don't want to talk about it, but it really is because of racism. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's what it boils down to. They got people, I don't want to beat
Yeah.
that dead horse, but you know what I'm saying? But the one of the things I'll say is for people to figure out what they can do, man, hold your representatives accountable. Now look, I can't call Wilson. It don't make no sense for me to call him because he ain't gonna do nothing. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? He's a Republican sitting in the Senate right now. You know what I'm saying? But I can call and see what my state is doing. Pay attention to bills. I think one of the things that people can do at this time is look, go straight to senate.gov or house.gov and look at the bill and read it, man. Every
Mhm.
year there are every Congress, I should say, there are like thousands or hundreds of bills that get introduced, and it's only one or two that actually become law. But when you look at the bills and you see what's being introduced, you kind of get an insight on what the party actually thinks. You know what I mean? What the party actually believes in the direction of the party, the political party. You know what I'm saying? Whether that's on the state level or a federal level, you can go read those bills and look at the wording in those bills. And yes, the budget bill, which is not a bill yet, it's just something it's just a I forget what they call it. But basically it say, hey, come time to talk about this stuff. This is where we're going to start at. So it's not a bill, it's not cutting anything just yet, but it can cut, but there is Social Security and Medicaid, Medicare. It's on the chopping blocks. It's on the chopping blocks as well as
You're
veteran
talking
programs.
about just like you're talking about just like tax on tips that people thought was in the bill and was arguing that no, it wasn't a bill, it was a budget. God darn it. Like, please go read.
Please read, man. Please read.
Budget.
Please read, man. Like in these times, go straight to the source, man. Because people are right now. You can't. I don't even watch the press secretary. There's no point in doing that. There's no point in, and here's my thing. There's no point in watching opposite news, right? We'll get those folks, those fence sitters that like sit in the fence. And there's no point, man. There's no point, man. You're better off just going straight to the source and then, get from there, man. But and whatever way you can get involved, you know what I mean? Whether that's community groups, local groups, you know what I'm saying? Whatever that you can do within your capacity, man, within your capacity. It's going to be a long 2 years, so don't run out of gas. Don't run out of gas, man. Donate where you can donate. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man. That's it, man. That's it. That's it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. You had anything else, bro?
No, no, man. I like how you end that. Yeah, get involved. Get
Yeah.
involved. Like, and when I say get involved, don't find yourself, getting recorded because you can't control yourself.
Yeah. 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 Right. Right.
You know what
Right.
I'm saying? Like, go in there with some real questions and like and really try to have a real conversation.
Right. Hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And really trying to get some understanding, to get your point across and so forth without all of the like the outrage and all
Hmm.
the other stuff,
Hmm.
man. Like really go and try to like, hey, I have real questions and please don't go in there advocating only for yourself. There's millions of people in this country. You are not the only person.
Hmm.
Think as a group.
Yeah.
Think as a group, wanting better for the group.
Yeah. Yeah. That's it, man. On that, man. We out, man. Yeah. Hey.